You had both quarterbacks there, Matt Ryan and Russell Wilson. Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. That game was absolutely pathetic. And I don't want to hear Russell Wilson say, I don't care, I'm a winner. You're playing like dog food right now. Last night, there can be games that are played with just field goals being kicked, or single-digit scoring margins, or single-digit scoring totals. And they can be good games. They can be interesting games. They can be competitive games between two good teams. This was not that. This was two QBs that were terrible. And let's start with Russell Wilson, because let me tell you, out of the two of those, to answer our question to lead off the morning, Russ is far more concerning. Because think about the draft capital, think about the players, think about what the Broncos traded for to get Russ. At least the Colts just once again spun the wheel of veteran QBs, hoping to come up with a winning lottery ticket with Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan is washed. There's no doubt about it. But if he's just a one-year experiment, hey, that's exactly what the Colts signed up for, basically, and that's what they've been doing for the last 3 years. Russell Wilson is awful right now. Russ throws 2 interceptions last night, could have been more. Russ has absolutely no ability to connect with his receivers. And how many throws are just sailing 3 to 5 yards over the heads of his wideouts? Russ, you can blame Matt Ryan's whatever's going on with Indy on a complete bust, a breakdown of the offensive line for the Colts. You can blame what has happened to the Colts on Matt Ryan's age and that, basically his arm is sawdust. What are you going to blame Russell Wilson's ineffectiveness on right now? Okay, yes, not a lot of training time together in the offseason these days for the NFL. Yes, not a lot of guys playing the preseason either. But we're now 5 games into the season, and Russell Wilson can't put up points. Russell Wilson is just sailing passes. Russell Wilson's just closing his eyes and preying on some passes. It was awful last night. He's got no pocket presence. He's got no accuracy. It's absolutely awful. And let me tell you, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Russell Wilson didn't have a hand in the winning in Seattle. But the fact is, you look at him right now and go, how did they win with him in Seattle? How did it actually end up in the postseason for a couple of years with Russell Wilson? Because this is awful. This is absolutely pathetic to watch. So far, the Broncos, with their brand new shiny toy, their sports car, have point totals of 16, 16, 11, and 9. Somehow they're 2-3. Boy, are they lucky they played the Texans. Remember, that was the game that Nathaniel Hackett couldn't coach his way out of a paper bag. And then they beat the Niners 11-10 when Jimmy G stepped out of the back of the end zone. Think about that. In 4 of the 5 games that Russell Wilson has quarterbacked so far for the Broncos, their totals, 16, 16, 10, 16, 16, 11, and 9. This is egregiously bad. Egregiously. And so the concern's got to be for the Broncos. The concern's more about Russell Wilson because they spend so much capital on him. They had big expectations, and it's got to work for Russ. He can't be baby Brock Osweiler. He can't be Teddy Bridgewater. He can't be Drew Lock. They spent a lot of collateral on him, and right now it looks like the Seahawks took the Broncos for a ride. Oh, was that awful. 855-212-4CBS if you want to jump in on last night's dreadful night in primetime, which is arguably the worst primetime game ever. Let me tell you, there's only been 2 instances in football history where a team won a game despite not scoring a touchdown, having 2 or more turnovers, and giving up 6 or more sacks. That was the Colts last night. They win on 4 field goals. They give up 6 or more sacks. They have 2 interceptions, and they still won the football game. I couldn't believe how ugly that was. The Broncos were 2 of 15 on third down. 2 of 15? Oh, God. Oh, the Colts were sacked 6 times. The Broncos were sacked 4 times. No rhythm whatsoever. And okay, a little bit of this might be injuries. The Javonte Williams injury, the Jonathan Taylor injury. Nyheim Hines goes out early in this game. But to coin a phrase, or to borrow a phrase from our good friend Zach Elb, holy smokes! To borrow another phrase from Zach Elb, woof, woof. Oh, my God. Mraz, I can't believe I survived those 3.5 hours. I said, please don't go to overtime. Please don't make me have to watch this. And there they were going to overtime.
It was the worst close game of all time. I mean, the fact, by the way, in the middle of it, that Al Michaels has to admit that this would be a 5th regional game on CBS was hysterical as well. Like, Al Michaels, as Amazon is dying for you to stay with the game, tells you this would be a 5th regional on CBS. That's how atrocious this was.
Al Michaels all night long couldn't believe how awful it was. I mean, you were just thinking he wants to quit in the middle of this broadcast and leave, and usually the broadcasters keep reminding you, could be close, want to stay with this, hey, it's fun. And he was just like, this is awful.
Did you catch, I think it was midway through the 4th quarter, somebody must have gotten Al Michaels' ear and told him, Al, try to sell this a little bit. It's a tight game. And he flat out says, he goes, sometimes games are so bad, they can actually be good. You know what I'm saying? And Herb Street turns around and goes, no. Just like that. They could never get the two to agree to sell the game.
Oh, I thought it was the opposite. I thought Herb Street was trying to sell it, and Michaels was like, No, that was Michaels?
Yeah, it was Michaels trying to sell it, but it was after Michaels killed it for that long.
Oh, my God. I mean, those two guys during commercial breaks must have just been doing the shoot me now pantomime in the booth. And then they did the promo for next week. It's Commanders Bears. We got that last night. It's Commanders Bears next Thursday.
Unreal. And I couldn't stop thinking last night as we're watching this game, and social media is openly complaining, wow, if there was no baseball lockout, you would have had the game 3s of the wild card last night.
Oh, so baseball totally missed a chance for everybody that would have been so turned off by the football game to go watch baseball last night.
Now, it would have took 60-year-olds fumbling through the input on their TV to get away from Amazon back to the cable. But, yeah, there was an opportunity there, and it was lost for baseball.
But if you were worried about having to flip back and forth, you didn't have to be worried last night because there was no reason to go back to that game. I mean, how about going into overtime, Broncos fans were leaving. At the end of regulation, they showed the stands, and people were just getting up to leave. They didn't even bother to stay for overtime.
DA, in the history of that stadium, that famous Bronco incomplete chant has never been used more. Never been used more. Their throats had been killing them.
Oh, what a brutality last night. So that was it. The Colts end up winning this game 12-9 on a series of field goals. Colts go to 2-2-1. Broncos fall to 2-3, and I thought both the Colts and the Broncos were poised for big seasons. I was dead wrong.